Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Uniquely Me with Simone Stewart. No doubt this program is about women, for women of course, and by a woman. Welcome guys. I'd like to know from you, of course, how have you been enjoying the program? This is season 4, and if you know me well, I am boom flicking and just totally excited. Now they say time heals all wounds, but does it? On this episode, we are going to hear from a phenomenal woman. She's in media and has her own talk show. And what I heard about her is that, look here, she's exciting with a little touch of madness. When we come back, we're going to hear who that person is.
Uniquely me is uniquely you. Balancing the different hats of life, achieving all your goals in the name of Christ. Uniquely me is uniquely you. You can do anything. With the S on your chest, you can do all things through Christ who gives you strength. You are a winner and you're an overcomer. You can be all things to Christ who gives you strength, yeah. You are a fighter, you're so determined. Uniquely me is uniquely you.
So, welcome, guys. Like I said, we have an exciting woman today on our program. And I'm speaking of none other than Stacyann Smith Williams, or is it William Smith? Stacey, clear that up for us. Welcome, girl. Talk to us.
Hi, Simone. Thank you so much for inviting me to chat with you. You can call me Stacy, Miss Peggy Big Daughter. Any one of those should be fine. But the legal name, the government name is Stacyann Williams Smith. But I go professionally by Stacyann Smith.
Awesome, awesome. Stacey, I'm so happy to have you, of course. Honestly, I feel this kindred spirit with you. I don't know how to explain it. Somebody introduced us, and if you want a joke, I don't remember who introduced us.
Me either,
I know it's somebody from Twickenham Park, Open Bible. That much I remember. But somehow I feel this connection to you, and you have just been warm, even though we've never literally seen each other face to face physically. But we seem to have this kindred spirit, and so I'm just so happy to have you, girl.
Thank you so much, Simone.
You're welcome. So, Stacey, I want to dig right into, why they call you that you have a little touch of madness? And every interview I've seen with you, with all of your friends, them say there's a little touch of madness.
The truth is, Simone, every one of us have a little touch of madness,
Yes.
Some people don't embrace it, but I do. I often say to my kids, why are you so weird? And they say, Mommy, you're weird. The truth is, every one of us has those little idiosyncrasies that makes us unique.
Yes.
And that other people might think odd, but others will find it very endearing. I have learned to just love life and to embrace life. And a little bit of the zany and quirky helps to make life interesting and keep it nice and fun. Not true?
Exactly. And that's what makes us who we are. I call us unique, of course. So, Stacey, I want, tell our audience, I mean, we've seen you in media space. We've seen you on your own talk show. We've seen you now in the space, which as being an author, but who are you really? Tell us a little about growing up, how exciting that was. One interview, I see you said, you've been this tall since age 14,
Yeah.
Talk to us about childhood.
Well, I grew up in Marvelly, and that's in Kingston, Jamaica. You could consider Marvelly as a ghetto. Even when I was growing up, it was considered part of the inner city. It's not one of those uptown Kingston 8 communities at all. So we're talking about real, regular Jamaican ghetto life. People come out and sit down on the sidewalk at morning time. Some come out and brush them teeth on the sidewalk. Them come out and them nighty, them kind of something there.
Yeah.
But funny enough, we never did that. My family, my family was seen as, maybe a little stush, if you want to call it that, if you want to use that to describe. We never really come out of the yard. Mama say you have to stay, my grandmother and my mother, you have to stay in the yard, because when you say you want to go outside of the yard, she say, where you go, you're going to do, you know? So we stayed a lot inside. I would say I had a pretty sheltered upbringing. I learned a lot about life once I got to adulthood. So there are lots of things that you know, girls my age would have known at say 16, 17 that I didn't know. You mentioned the height thing. I am all of 5'11". Truthfully, I am 5'10" and a half, a little bit more than that, but I've decided to round up. So, I declare that I'm 5'11". I always wanted to be tall. My mother is 5'11".
Wow.
Yes, I have uncles that are 6'2". I have a cousin that's about 6'4". So we do have some tall people in the family. It's a good mix, you know, because we have some short ones too. But I always wanted to be tall. I remember growing up, I had 2 friends in primary school. And we were always the tallest girls in the class. One of them stopped growing at about 5'8". I stopped at about, as I said, 5'10 3/4. And another friend grew to 6'1", and I was so jealous because I really wanted to be 6 feet tall.
Who wants to keep growing? Like
no, I think, I mean, tall people are so statuesque and regal, and I just love to see a tall person, especially women who are tall, who carry themselves very well, and it's beautiful to see, and I always just wanted to be tall. So I got to this height maybe in 4th form at about 14, and then I stopped growing, and I was a little annoyed, but as I said, I rounded up to 5'11".
In your head.
In my head, I write it down to, you know, 5'11".
But you know, it's funny, when I was going high school, I have a cousin who was probably that same height in high school. I think he stopped growing too at that stage. But for me, it was protection. And so anybody mess with me, I just tell him something I got from a big cousin, because he was just so tall. You couldn't miss him in high school. Did you have anybody who sheltered under your arms like that growing up?
Not that I can recall. I have younger siblings. I'm the oldest one for Miss Peggy, hence they handle Miss Peggy, big daughter. I'm the oldest one, but I didn't, it was never that kind of relationship where them say, you know, make her go for my big sister kind of thing. We did look out for each other though, but we didn't really get into lots of fights and that kind of thing. We were always the quiet ones. We have big mouths, we talk, you know, tough, but we're run away from the fights, you know, except for my youngest sister, who would beat you down in a minute.
After all. So Stacey, it sounds like the home was exciting and loving and, you know, the family thing, but so often I've heard you mention, you know, the whole matter of self-esteem and, you know, how your dad, well, not your dad, but your grandfather in particular, made you feel that, thinking that, you know, this exciting, big, tall thing and, you know, it was a crime. Why? What happened? Where was he from? Why did he think that, hey, his family is so incomplete?
Well, I don't think he thought his family was incomplete. And I have reflected a lot on, you know, his mindset and why he had the kind of outlook that he did. So my grandfather was born in 1921 in Manchester. And you can imagine that at that point in time, he would have been raised in a Jamaica that was a little different from now, was in a world that was different from now. Like many other Jamaicans, even today, he prided himself on his brown skin and his straight nose.
You know,
so it was more.
Go ahead.
It was more about the complexion, and it was more about ensuring that your nose straight, and you know, you grew up hearing the ridiculous rhetoric, nothing too black, no good, and that kind of thing. So when I talk about self-esteem, those were the main things that would have given me a different kind of mindset, the wrong mindset. Plus, you know, outside of that, we grew up and still exist in a country where not everybody celebrates their Blackness.
Yes.
I have come to recognize that even with hair and how we treat our hair, and you know, a lot of women prefer to wear weave and all of that, and there's nothing wrong with that because I've worn a weave or two in my time.
Of
But
course.
it's because of just the variety and wanting sometimes to look different for a different reason.
Yeah.
But for a lot of women, and some of the women in my family, and I'm sure you know some women, refuse to wear their own hair because society has told them that your natural hair is picky.
Yes.
It's
black pepper green.
Black pepper green, it's too coarse, it's too
Higher
rough.
head.
Yes, and when you look even at recent developments, I mean, you might recall a recent court case last year, I believe, when the court ruled that a school in Portmore was correct to order a child not to come back to school with her dreadlocked hair, and that is natural hair that grow out of your scalp. And even in the school system, in my experience, we continue to police black hair.
Yes.
So growing up, I never saw my Blackness as something to celebrate. I didn't see, so my Blackness was a problem. My nose was a problem because it wasn't a white nose, it wasn't straight enough, and I wasn't brown enough, you know? Add to that, I was always a plus size girl. So you can imagine that mix, that combination that would have shaped my mindset to say, you're not quite enough. You're not as beautiful, as attractive, as aesthetically pleasing as somebody else. And you know, growing up as a girl, teenagers, it's so important for you to have those kinds of reinforcements. And when you're bombarded with those negative notions of who you are, then you end up in a position with self-esteem that is less than desirable.
Exactly. You know, Stacey, as I've been talking with more and more women who have struggled with self-esteem and how it started from childhood and stuff, I'm seeing how it has shaped their life. So just to throw some of my own in there, as I listen to you, you know, you brought me back to some of my own insecurities growing up. And one of my main insecurities was my feet, because I thought I had big feet and I was told that your foot big like, and it just so happened that every shoes I may get just show my foot as being big. And so, and I tell you something, even as until maybe about 10 years ago that I started accepting that, listen, forget it. Your foot ain't going to change, and, you know, make no sense. And it seemed as if every grow it grows. So I used to tell person that my foot was like a size 7 when it really was a size 9. You know, and the kind of thing, and then it not straight, it just broad. So I would stand and always, you know, put my foot between the others so that you wouldn't see it, because I just felt so self-conscious, you know. And then what I found that it did, it made me stay away from persons. I didn't want to, you know, I didn't think I was accepted in certain crowd. But like I said, there are so many different things that I'm recognizing has impacted our lives as children and how they have shaped how we take on different things. And those are some of the things you put in your book, right? That time really doesn't heal, right? Everything. But talk with us now, Stacey, how, you know, childhood experiences shaped your teenage years into even getting married.
So if you think about it for a second, your mindset determines, and your emotional state, your well-being, often determines your thought processes. And your thought processes will always determine your actions and the decisions that you take. And so for a long time, the decisions that I made were from a place of brokenness. I mean, when you think that you are fat and ugly, then you don't know your worth. You don't know the value that you have. You know, you will likely settle for less than you deserve because you are broken. And that was pretty much what characterized much of my decision making as a teenager, I reflected recently on how I decided I wanted to do media. And
oh, so sorry, guys. Well, I think this is a good time to talk about my book, guys. Have you gotten your copy? Look, guys, you need to make sure you get your copy of Uniquely Me. Yes, guys, this is the basis for which my program is based on, and so it is, of course, how one woman maneuvers life, wearing the many different hats. And so that's how Uniquely Me came about. And of course, saying that Uniquely Me is definitely uniquely you. So guys, if you haven't gotten it, but I also need to tell you about the journal or the planner, guys. Yes. Oh my God. Of course, you know I'm so hilarious. But let me just come get serious now. So guys, let me see if I can just flip through just to give you a little picture of what are some of the things you will see in this planner. Absolutely exciting, guys. Why did I do this? Well, a number of persons kept asking me, how do you do it? How do you balance life with being a wife, a mother, a corporate woman, that kind of thing? How do you balance? And so this is how I balance, guys. I plan, I organize. That's how I balance. So yeah. So yes, you need to get my book. All right. So welcome back to Stacyann. Stacy, you took a little break, girl.
Boy, I tell you, technology is not being my friend at all today.
I know. But that is also sometimes when the devil don't want the story to come out. And it is going to come out. So devil, you're a liar. Sure.
Amen.
So let's speak up. So you're sharing how, our thought process allows us to make some decisions in life.
Right.
And then you decided to go into media, right? So that's where.
And then when I went into media, I always wanted to be on the radio, but I reflected on the fact that a large part of what interested me about and intrigued me about radio was that nobody sees you.
Oh.
And I kid you not, Simone, sometimes when the Lord places you somewhere,
yes,
and causes things to fall into place, you don't even know how it happened. So when I went to Carimac, I actually signed up for radio as my specialization.
Okay.
Miraculously, my name ended up on the television list.
Oh, I love it. Come on.
So I wanted to study my focus area, my specialization ought to have been radio. I'm looking at the list of people for radio, and I'm saying, where am I? And somebody says, isn't that you? And I'm on the TV list, and I'm like, no, I don't want to do TV because I thought I was fat and ugly, and I don't want to be on TV.
Yeah.
But the Lord just had it.
Yes.
That way. He saw that my path ought to have been one way, and he said, no, girl, come over here. So, and so that is how it started. So even that desire, yes, I want to be in media, but I wanted to be in the background where nobody would see me.
Yeah.
Then when you're talking about personal decisions about relationships, I got into a relationship, a couple of relationships that were like, not really. Eventually, got into a relationship with a man that was not available.
Yeah.
And as I say in the book, time does not heal. As many women do, whether you are 18 or 38, who are in a place that in your headspace may not be in the right place for whatever reason.
Right.
And somebody shows you some interest.
Yes.
And you may or may not see those red flags immediately because this man was living with somebody else. Right. He was in what, for all intents and purposes, should be a committed common law relationship. And me got enough of myself. Can you imagine?
Yep. Insecurity said to do that.
Oh, me find myself right there, so God he knows.
Yes.
But I did, because you are in a place where you are not thinking clearly and you are not making the best decisions. And so we get involved. There was a lot of upheaval back and forth. Eventually, we got married. You know, that Doesn't happen often, but we did. And
Yeah.
and the truth is, I thank God for
Yeah.
my experiences.
Yes.
By no stretch of the imagination was it smooth sailing. It was
Yeah.
not a happily ever after story at all.
Right,
But if
right.
for no other reason, um, it's produced two amazing human beings, my
I can
children,
see.
I
Yeah.
love deeply and dearly. And
Mhm.
it also helped to shape who I am. And it
Yes.
gave me an amazing testimony of the goodness of God,
Yes.
the power of forgiveness.
Mhm.
And I remember when I was going through some of the toughest times,
Mhm.
the Lord said to me, nothing you have been through will be wasted.
Ah.
Your story is important. And here I am today sharing my story
Yeah.
because there are so many women and men
Yeah.
who need to know and understand that your emotional well-being is important, just as important as keeping physically fit and exercising and drinking enough water,
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
just as important. And as a people, Simone, we don't pay nowhere near enough attention to that.
Yourself.
And
Yes.
so that is essentially my story.
Yeah.
How showing through my own experiences,
Mhm.
how not paying attention to your mental well-being and not prioritizing that, not being aware of your mindset, how those things can land you into less than desirable situations.
Yeah. But Stacey, you were in the church, and I want to go there a little. So you were in the church, and the church, most of our churches say, hey, they don't believe in divorce. And so if you're in this thing, just try and make it work, right? But it is for a lot of us, as you said, it's messing with our mental stability, right? I would have seen some interviews that you did, that there was a lot of infidelity and that kind of thing. But you stayed, Stacey, even when the children came. Why did you stay? It's something that bugs my mind a lot. Why did you stay?
It comes back to a couple of things. One, when I said my vows, I meant them.
Yeah.
When I said for better or for worse, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I meant it.
Yeah.
And so when you are going through tough times, for me, it wasn't the time to say, boy, I'm done with this.
Yes.
Because by the time you get to be an adult, you understand that real life and the real world isn't going to be a fairy tale.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna go through trials and you're going to have issues.
Yeah.
You have people who have great financial issues in their marriage, but not because you have a problem, that means you just pick up shop and you say, no, I'm tired of this now, and you move on.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When it got to a place where I felt like I was losing myself,
yeah,
and I saw it's almost like the scales were removed from my eyes, and I saw that no, this is going to be the death of me. And when I say I thought I was going to die, I mean it. I'm not exaggerating.
yeah.
I share in the book about what I call the tipping point, an experience I had just running into somebody's car and not even being aware of what was happening. And I said, I knew I was on the brink of a breakdown. And
Yeah.
it may sound flippant, Simone, but Jesus did not die on the cross for me to be in a place where I knew, I felt it in my spirit, I knew in my heart that this isn't the life that
Yeah.
I was supposed to have.
Yeah.
I wasn't being my best self. And yes, I understand that a lot of people are in the church and they say to you, boy, you have to stick it out. And but I don't believe in that kind of broad sweep. I say, talk to your father. That is why a personal relationship with Jesus is important. When you are in dialogue with your God, you can talk about anything.
Yeah.
It could have been that the Lord said to me, no, Stace, you have to stay. Go and hold it. And if that is the case, then you go and hold it.
Hold it, yeah.
But it was very clear, not just in our one-to-one, but also prophetic words that were shared with me as well, that it was time for me to move on.
Moving on is one thing, Stacey, but I have found sometimes that removing ourselves from the situation does not necessarily bring the healing. So it had to have been more than you just moving away And that's what I want you to talk about, because I'm sure that's the essence of your book, recognizing
Yes,
that
it
time
is.
doesn't heal. To be honest, I have often said that, my own experience, every now and again, when there's a little flare up between myself and my husband, I think if he goes to work, me go to work, we're good. And if I malice him a little bit for a week or two, that will even make it better. But sometimes we recognize that even all of that still does not help. It doesn't heal.
Yeah.
Right? What did you do to have been able to come to that place of healing, recognizing that time really didn't heal? Because you stayed for a while, and you stayed for what, 18 years? Was it a whole lot that?
We were officially married for, well, on paper, 20 years.
Wow.
On paper, 20 years. Lived together for 17 years. It was difficult.
Yeah.
But you have to first of all recognize that I am broken.
Yeah. Wow.
This is not right. And it usually starts with a feeling in your belly. When you are going through
that gut feeling. Yeah, that gut feeling. Yeah, man.
You feel it in your belly bottom. Sometimes you don't have a clue, Simone, where to start. That's okay. You don't have to know where to start. You just know that this does not feel right. This don't feel right. I'm not being my best self. Also, you can rely on the feedback from the people around you.
Yeah.
Like your children will give you hints. Mommy, what happened? Why you so miserable? You find that it's getting worse and worse.
Yeah.
Maybe it is impacting your sleep.
Yes.
Maybe it is impacting I don't know, your weight, because sometimes people gain a lot of weight or lose a lot of weight because you are internalizing. And it starts with just knowing that this is not right. This does not feel right.
Yeah.
But as you rightly said, Simone, the focus of the book is how to actually, first of all, recognize that, you're in a place that you need to do something about it. You need some work. And then putting in the work. I talk about, and I'm a big champion for this, for professional help.
Yes.
Yes, you are a Christian. Yes, you believe in the healing and redemptive power of your God, and that is unquestioned.
Right.
I tell people all the time, faith without work is dead.
Come on, girl.
If you believe, Simone, that you are destined to do a YouTube series, and the Lord said to you, you're gonna do a YouTube series, Simone, and you say, yes, Lord, thank you. And you sit down and look like this in your beautiful brown couch, and you never call the videographer, you never start doing anything, it never happen.
It will never happen.
Never happen.
Yeah.
Because as the Bible tells us, your Father will bless the work of your hands. So you have to work.
Yes.
It's the same for your mental well-being and your healing. Yes. You have to put in the work. So you know that something is wrong. If you did get a gunshot wound, if it's even a graze, you're not going to sit down. If I even the clinic, you're going to go make them dress it, not?
Exactly.
Because you don't know how to dress foot unless you yourself is a doctor. So you say to yourself, okay, who can help me to dress this foot?
Yeah.
Who can help me to dress this pain that is in my heart?
Yeah.
This feeling, this thing that is causing my hair to fall out. That's causing me to have sleepless nights.
Oh my God.
That's causing me to be biting and snapping at the people around me. Who can help me to get over this hurdle? It could be a trusted counselor, a pastor at your church. It could be somebody at another counseling facility. It could be that you reach out to somebody from work. A lot of organizations have an offer counseling for people who work there. I mean, it could be a trusted friend that you start the conversation with.
Right.
And it's so important. That's a whole other conversation about making sure that you have people around you that you can trust.
Who can deal with it, exactly.
Yeah, so you have sensible people, because certain things you can't talk to fool people about, because them are going to tell you some foolishness, right?
Yep.
So you have to put in the work.
Yeah.
And you also have to really have an open mind. So you say to yourself, something is wrong. This cannot be how I'm supposed to live. Be open to improving on it, and then seeking the help. The other key, and for me that worked a lot, was just being surrounded by love. That's the title of one of the chapters in my book, and I talk about the different people in my life who really stood with me. I mean, I have so many other examples, but I called out a few in big and small ways. And love, as you know, Simone, is an action word. It's not just, oh, I love you, but I don't care, and I never call you, and I never check on you. And it's about having people who will demonstrate that love, because once you are going through a rough place, you need people around you who are going to love you. And loving you is about being patient and kind. And sometimes when you go on with your foolishness, them allow you to go on with your foolishness. And then the next time them drape you up and them say, come now, girl.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm listening to you, Stacey, and I want you to continue. But it's just that, you know, a lot of us especially in Christendom, we tend to think that we don't want nobody to know our business. And not even just in Christendom, generally. We don't want nobody to know our business. Especially in your case, you're in media, you know, everybody know you. Depending on how person's viewing the family, you're the epitome or the example that everybody wants to, you know, live up to and stuff. And some people voice it and it gets into your head and you're afraid. And then you don't want to find, you're not going to pastor, you're not going to counselor, because everybody going to know, say, you don't want broken relationship. Right? And that kind of thing. But then you're sitting there suffering.
Yeah.
You know, you're sitting there, and like you say, you said the hair start fall out. Some of us wonder why the hair fall out. Why every minute we have aches and pains and the whole works, and we don't know why. Every minute you get up out of your bed and you talk about the bed won't change and this and that and the whole works. When really it's something on the inside. It's your gut's been speaking all this time.
Yeah.
You know,
unresolved issues manifest themselves in physical ways. I have proven that. I mean, been there, done that, bought the t-shirt, Simone. It will mess you up good physically. But to those persons who don't want people to know their business, for a lot of people, you know, it's not even, yes, you don't want people to know your business, but in many instances, it's just shame. You are embarrassed, you're ashamed because some things will reach you and say, no man, you can't make nobody know this, because you feel like a fool. And nobody wants to feel like a fool, especially in front of their family, friends, people who love you. I mean, if you feel like a fool, then people going to look on you and think, say, you're a fool too. And most people want to avoid that. Most people, especially in this day and age of social media, we all put up beautiful pictures and we want people to think that, you know, we have it all together. And as I said in a recent post, a lot of people will judge you when they know that you don't have it all together, even though for them own life in a shambles, you know. Their life is in shambles around here, but they are ready to judge you. And I say, forget about people. Think about yourself. Think about how you want to feel. Simone, is one life we have, you know.
Oh, girl.
When you consider that you might have made a lot of mistakes and spent some time in situations that did not serve you well, you have to get to the point where you can say, okay, it is what it is. We are where we are. How do I then make tomorrow better, and next week and next year? Because you can always make that decision. And that is a big part of the healing, making the decision that you are going to be better. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not a 1-2. It's something that has to also begin with forgiveness.
That's a girl. Listen, that word is, Stacey, that forgiveness word is like a bad word, for want of a better word. It's like a bad word. But I have found that the greatest deliverance, the greatest healing, the greatest breakthrough has come from humility governed by forgiveness. But you, the Lord told you to go do something where your husband is concerned, and forgiveness. And I want to tell us about it, because that must have been very humbling for you.
So when my world was falling apart, in my mind, look how I sit down here doing all of the right things, May I pray, may I fast, may I do all of these things, and now my life has fallen apart.
Yeah.
I'm dealing with a broken marriage, a failed marriage.
Yeah.
This is your husband who you love so much and who you've built a life with, and your heart is broken.
Yeah.
And I really am drowning.
Yeah.
I said, Lord, what me do? How do I get out from under this? And he said to me, you have to forgive your husband. And I said,
yeah, you know, like, who are you talking to?
like, what? And he said, yes, you have to forgive him. More than that, you have to go and tell him that you forgive him.
Well, I know, Stacey, I know me do him nothing, I him do me something.
But I tell people all the time, the Lord don't really see things like how we see things, you know, which is the beauty of trusting him, because he have the big picture at all times.
Yes.
We tend, especially when we're in pain, to be very tunnel vision. We don't see nothing outside of the pain that we're feeling, but him know the end from the beginning, right?
Yes.
And sometimes you just have, not sometimes, you have to always just trust.
Yes. So
you don't have a clue why you must do this thing. And I said, no, but it's not, you know, really? What? Yeah, man, go on. And so I did.
Did you willingly go, Stacey? Did you just pack up and go, or you kick and scream and I make?
No, I never really kick and scream, because I was really I was in a bad way. I was in a bad way. Yeah. And I said, well, all right, Lord. I mean, it wasn't the first time I was getting that little nudge where the forgiveness is concerned, you know. And I say, okay, I'm going to do it. If you say I must do it, I'm just going to do it. Because you get to a point sometimes where you've been trying, and I guess I'm as stubborn as anybody else. And sometimes you resist, you know, but you get to a point where you just have to say, no, I'm ready to just try anything now, because I'm tired of this, you know? Yeah. When I talk about being physically ill at the time, based on what was going on, and just wanting, I just needed to feel better. The Lord said, go and do this. And I did it. And I didn't feel it at first, you know, and that's another thing that people think when you make a decision to forgive, it's something that happens in your mind and in your heart first. And whether you feel it or not, that don't have anything to do with it right away. You're not going to feel it right away. I can tell you that. It's not a snap your finger, magic bullet kind of thing, and you just forgive. Yeah. It's a process you have to work through. For me anyway. You have to work it through, and you have to you have to go through a process. For me, I used affirmation, verbal affirmation. So apart from that initial where I said to him, I forgive you. Yeah. I said it every day. I said it repeatedly. I would be driving, going to work, and I said it to myself, I forgive him, I forgive him. Something would have come up, a memory would come back, because the devil don't done with you yet, you know, I'm going to continue to bring all of the reasons, you know, say, well, you forgive, well, you can't forgive somebody who do X and Y and Z. And you have to just run him. Yeah. You have to say, brother, me and you righteous, so now me am righteous, so me I follow this here. And you have to be very deliberate about it when those thoughts come in your mind to say, no. Yeah. I purpose in my mind and in my heart to forgive. Yeah. And slowly over time, I realized that I would hear his name and not just dissolve into tears. Yeah. I would see him and my belly bottom now drop out. Yeah. I would, you know, just, it became less and less difficult to process, to think about the entire situation, to the point where I was good. And I would hear, and I was like, okay, and I could talk to him and not feel hurt. I want to cry. And, you know, I just have to always give God the glory, because I can tell you, Simone, it is not because people say, oh, you're so strong. No, miss. No, no, no. I am not strong at all. It is just the grace of God. And I cannot stress enough the importance for us to just recognize that by ourselves, there is very little bit that we can do that is good enough, Simone, by ourselves, you know.
That's true.
And we really have to just humble ourselves before God. Yeah. And just say, God, how do I deal with this? What do I do? And really depend on him and obey. When him tell you to do something, just do it.
Yep. I want persons to go and get the book. So we're not talking not more about the book. If they want to discover all the tips and stuff, and really, you go, girl. Stacey, tell us, where do we find the book for starters? Where do we find it? Hold it up again. It look good.
Thank you very much. So Time Does Not Heal is
Yes.
on my website. You can pre-order now. It's StacyannsSmith.com.
Yes.
Stacyannsmith. There's no E in Stacyann. Thank you very much.
Okay.
And you can also get Time Does Not Heal on Amazon. So you can get the paperback.
Right.
I didn't do any hardcover. So it's just paperback. And you can get the ebook as well on Kindle for those people who love their Kindle. Oh, it's on Barnes and Noble as well. So you can get the e-version on Barnes and Noble. Yeah.
Awesome. So guys, make sure you go and get that book, Time Does Not Heal, What Does? And so Stacey tells you all about it in her book. And you'd have heard her story, of course, what she has been through. So many of our women can literally identify, with what Stacey has described. But so many of our women are still sitting down, not moving, hoping that time will heal. Well, guess what? It's time you go discover something else other than time. Right, Stacey?
Amen.
So
you
Stacey,
have to start that process. Start that process today.
Yes, exactly. Stacey, we're about to wrap up, but what's happening with you? Woman's World, media, family, you, single girl, what's happening?
Well, Simone, I tell you, I am really, really enjoying my singleness. Can I tell you that?
Yes.
Me and God have had conversations, and I'm not going to disclose all of the details of those conversations, but I am open,
Yes.
But for now, I am just enjoying me.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying this phase of my life where I'm discovering things about myself. I'm enjoying my children, my family. I still work full time. I do public relations, is my 9 to 5. But I am really just so excited about this new journey and this new platform with Time Does Not Heal, and I truly believe it is part of my purpose. It's a woman's world. We've done 2 full seasons. Still looking to do season 3, but as you know, girl, when you do television, it is a very expensive. So,
you know.
So looking to get my sponsors on board so I can execute a season 3. But in the meantime, I'm walking in my purpose. Also very active in my church life, and still trying to do a lot of work to help to continue to build the kingdom and to show people that there is a better way to live. We see so many things happening in our environment, Simone, and one big reason is we have a lot of hurting people.
Yes.
And when people are hurt, we tend to hurt others. And so if we focus and can do our part to help and encourage people to seek that healing, then I think we're gonna begin to make some strides, even in terms of our interpersonal relationships. When we see so many cases of domestic violence, brother stab brother and all them something, a lot of times it's just things that happen over time that you haven't dealt with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so we continue to do some work through my church in particular, and using this platform that we have, using platforms such as this one to spread the word, get some help. None of us is perfect. We all are working through things, and that's okay. Get people around you who can give you support. Find those resources. They're all over the place, but you just have to be humble enough and hungry enough for a better version of yourself.
Awesome. That's a great way to end this, Stacey. Finding the better version of ourselves, indeed. And I'm so happy that you have found. And girl, you are looking good. You are glowing. Thank you so much, Stacey, for coming and sharing and, just allowing others to know that, listen, it's okay to be vulnerable, right? It's okay to put yourself out there because truly, uniquely, you is uniquely somebody else, you know, and there are so many others waiting on our story to recognize if you've been through it, hey, and you have survived, so too can they. So thank you so much, Stacey. I'm definitely going to invite persons, go on over, go check your book out, pre-order. Guys, listen, it's a great way. Listen, putting your voice out there, and this is a time for real. Like, we really need to put our voices out in the atmosphere, leaving legacies, right? Leaving drops of ourselves all over, and for our children, of course, to follow. So Stacey, excellent job. Excellent job. Girl, you are such a
Thank you, my
blessing.
darling.
Thank you. We'll definitely be in touch.
Thank you too.
Yes, it's been a pleasure. All right, guys.
All right.
So another episode of Uniquely Me, it's over, and I need to hear from you. Did you enjoy this episode, or do you know a woman who has been struggling, wondering should she leave, should she stay? Will time heal? Well, you heard it from Stacey. Time isn't enough. There are so many other things. So make sure you go check her book out. And of course, guys, subscribe. Next week we have another exciting episode. So I can't wait to see you. So until then, take care.
Who am I really? Choices, choices, choices. In pursuit of a career? OMG, I'm a wife. Help, I am a mother. Oh, I'm in church. When do I get to be a woman that God called me to be? Uniquely Me covers the acrobatic endeavors of every woman to balance the responsibilities of being a mother, a wife, a professional, a church leader, a friend, yet still maintain her identity. I too am a mother, a wife, a trained minister of religion, a banker, an entrepreneur trying to balance the many hats that signifies my role. My book will help motivate and empower every woman who is really unique in her own way. Grab your copy today on Amazon because Uniquely Me is uniquely you.
Thank you for tuning in to Uniquely Me with Simone Stewart. Remember, Uniquely Me is uniquely you.